So welcome, Arville. We have Arville Thompson here today talking about the fire department, some of the history. Arville, you were a member of the Detroit Lakes Fire Department for many, many years. What years?
Well, I joined in 1961 until 86. Wow. Then one day we got a call, right before 8 o'clock in the morning at the Broken Wheel, which we call the Crippled Crutch. But it was actually Erie 34 Club. And Clayton Blackley sold it and built Erie Junior uptown. And he sold out, a guy bought it called the Broken Wheel. And it was a big bar upstairs, big dance hall, big supper club. And he'd sold it to another guy. Well, that was after fact. We found fire behind the bar upstairs and the bar downstairs. Mm-hmm. They went in, and the only reason we were able to not save that was the highway department was doing bridge work. They had a great big 7,000 gallon tank truck, and this guy that run it, he said, heard this fireman going on. He said, hey, you need water. I got 7,000 gallons. So he came right out with it. Nunched everything. Well, this guy, when he'd done, he figured, well, if I don't light a fire, light it where the booze is. That'll burn. Well, it lit, but we were able to get in there and put enough water and saved it. The roof fell in the dance hall, but it was bad enough burnt. I mean, it was water damage and stuff, so insurance paid off on it, and the guy went to jail. Huh. The guy that had bought it from the guys that owned it, this guy's father-in-law owned it. Well, he was smart enough to maintain insurance on it. Cost a lot to maintain, even though, mm-hmm. So he was able to get money out of it. Otherwise, he'd have been sunk.
Yeah.
Another incident with people do dumb things. On Richwood Road, we had a massive fire from the old Spotlight Club all the way toward town. Big grass fire. And what happened, the guys were out there putting it out, and I met this pickup, and the people said, well, the red pickup that went out of here, I think they're the ones that started it. Well, we caught them, all that stuff, but what happened was this older fireman had two young bucks with him, went in on this big tall stuff to knock it down, see? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times on grass fire, big fire, they have a backlash, backfire.
Sure.
What happened when they're in there, we got a burn over. And everybody hollered. And this guy heard him hollering, and he had the guys lay down in the swamp, and he held the hose above, and the fire went on over. Hmm. But if that wouldn't have happened, them two guys in the pickup, they'd still be in jail, because they would have had.
Wow.
I know them both too. Happy family people now, but they do stupid things when they were teenagers.
People make poor decisions sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, then one night we had a terrible lightning storm. Lightning strike, and we got a fire call out around 30, well, it'd be, I don't know, wasn't 25, it's something else. Guy lived out there. He's the guy that owned the Broken Wheel. Anyway, he built a new home there. And what happened was, we got there, they're outside and smoke's coming out. The lightning, lightning had hit the antenna. It came in and followed the cable, blew up the TV, and in their bedroom, they had a huge bedroom. It was all plastered, and they had the heat in the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And he said, I thought there was a war going on. What happened was when that lightning hit, it hit that cable, and wherever it made a turn, it blew all the plaster off the.
Oh, jeez.
Sound like a rifle shot, like a machine gun. Wherever that wire turned.
Little grenades going off in their bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, and he said it was scary. I mean, it was a mess. And we went and had a guy go in the attic and hear that cable. They put it in and laid it across the just laid it out. Cable guy, they don't, and it crossed a couple of power cables. That's a stupid thing to happen now. Oh yeah, I got done with that one. Next one we had fire at Abbey Lake, which was, we were very fortunate because there was a stable fire, a garage. And as I came with my pickup over the hill going down toward Abbey Lake, it blew. I mean, an explosion. And I seen the big mushroom cloud come out. Man, what we got now? The trucks weren't there yet. It's a good time. Because if the trucks would have got there and backed up, the garage was sitting here and the barn was here. And it was burning in the deal. Well, they had this old International pickup in there. And they had 2 bags of fertilizer left over from fertilizer thrown in front. They'd run the pickup in until the tire would touch the bag. Well, they didn't realize there was dynamite there, that fertilizer,
Yeah.
It got soiled and built oil on it. Well, when this pickup started to burn, then it got over to this fertilizer. When they ignited it, there wasn't that garage. There wasn't a piece of wood big enough you could drive a nail through. They picked that great big pickup up, threw it through the wall and wrapped it around a tree. The only thing left of the garage was halfway to the house, had a sliding door. The whole sliding door was laying there. Otherwise, and when we got there, there was just smoldering. It blew itself out. But if we'd have been backing up there, we'd have lost some men.
Yeah. Wow.
You never know. Not long after that, we had a call on the other side of Abbey Lake, the trailer house fire. So we go to that, and as we get there, a young guy is standing out on the deal, and he said, well, there's 2 people in there. Well, there was no, and I knew the guy that was going with this gal. Mm-hmm. And he was actually working at the stable that blew up. Well, after he started putting it all out, they started airing it out. We got the back bedroom door open, and this gal was laying 4 feet from the deal. She wasn't dressed or nothing, but they'd been in bed. They'd been out and drinking, and she was killed right there. What happened was her boyfriend or her friend was staying with her. She had a little boy, and he was taking care of the boy. Well, when she had to bring a friend home, he had to sleep on the couch. Well, he torched it when they were back there. So it's all these screwy things. Then we had a situation on Lake Melissa. Elderly couple. The guy retired teacher. He used to teach at the Holy Rosary. He taught my kids. So we go out there, you get the call, and I'm close with my pickup, and I get about 2 blocks from the place, and there's a guy screaming in the middle of the road. He said, you better not go there. He said, there's a guy with a shotgun over there shooting at the house and all this stuff. The kid, he was a middle-aged guy that was handicapped. Mm-hmm. Well, so I called Mac. We got to the place. I mean, he doesn't torch his folks' house. Well, I seen him stand behind a tree. The barrel was sticking out. And we stopped the trucks. And I said, we got problems. Well, a couple of deputies, older deputies, came from the sheriff's office. When they came in with the lights, he kind of started to sneak through the woods. And they hollered at him. And he stopped dead. Well, I walked over there and he handed me the shotgun. And by the time we got back to the house, of course, his folks were just devastated. It was minor damage to the house, but it was just one of those things that could have been bad.
Right.
Then we had, I got written down here, Long Lake. Long Lake is a nice lake, except you don't want to live there in the wintertime. I mean, the wind comes from the north across in. We had 3 major house fires on that side of the lake in 1 year. I mean, the one time we got down there at the snowbank, the one house, they had to come blast the road open, and we got in there, 21 below wind chill.
Yeah.
And they got to pick up out on the lake, pumping water up to the truck. And we knocked out what we could, and that was it. And then by the time the plows had plowed us all out, we had to deal with a city that they had a guy that lived close to the street department garage, the plow operator. And if we ever had a call out in this area, they would call him. Mm-hmm. Because you'd have to. Our 4-wheel drive got through. We had to wait for him to plow the road. I'm not in a brand new home. What it was, the guy had built it, trying to get somebody to build a fireplace for him, and they couldn't get any. It would be too tight, so he built his fireplace, but he didn't put a baffle between the chimney, and he had a chimney fire, and it caught the thing on fire. See? Mm-hmm. Well, all that was left was a slab. That's the only fire I've ever seen where the firemen were standing around trying to keep warm from the house fire. There's nothing we could do with it. Anyway, it was so cold, I mean, your boots froze on you. When they shut that pump down on the lake, and they're going to get the truck off, I think it was, in May before we pick up the hose. It was a solid block. It was a solid 2.5 inch of, you couldn't even,
frozen in?
Yeah, you couldn't even get it unhooked, so.
Wow.
But we had 3 major fires. One fire we had, there was a guy who was cleaning his fireplace, and he had the bucket out, and he set the ashtray on his porch out in front. Well, guess what? No more house.
Smoldered and caught on fire.
And then one time we had this Ray, like you say his name, Ray Fody. He was a good guy. He was running the plow for the city. And we called him one time. He came to the fire. In fact, we had a bad storm, and there was 3 of us slept on the beds of the fire truck, because it was going to be bad. Mm-hmm. And they had 4 or 5 guys had snowmobiles. Middle of the night, that's probably 1 o'clock in the morning, got this call. House fire just past Virgins. Well, you couldn't even see outside. You couldn't even get out of the fire hall.
Yeah.
Well, Ray showed up, plowed out from the fire hall. We went down the summit, and you get about by the funeral home there.
Yeah.
He had to make 2 swats to get up that hill. Once he got up down the Willow, then it was pretty good. We got down to the house, but we saved the basement there. That was all cement block. And that was caused by smoking. Let's see what else I can figure out here. Oh, no, the bad one. We were called one night to a trailer home fire by the landfill. Well, if you turn off going to the landfill, there's a trailer park right there. And this house is burning. And when they got there, they had this woman, a guy, and somebody else in the car. And they said there's one of the kids still in there. Well, by that time we went in right away, but I found the little boy. By the door in the kitchen. He was only 2 years old. But what happened was, this gal's boyfriend, who was not a, metal giant, He had trouble with his car, and so his battery was freezing up, so he took the battery out. He set it behind the stove in the kitchen. The fire, they had a gas, propane thing. Mm-hmm. One there and one in the back. Well, he put this battery behind that furnace. Well, what happened was that when they start warming up, the battery gives off vapors, and it ignited, blew up, and the kids were sitting on the couch watching TV, and the boyfriend heard back in the bedroom. What happened was, when that blew, they ran back to the bedroom and got him up. Well, this guy, when he come out, he seen the fire coming down the hall on the ceiling, so he opened the back door.
Oh, jeez.
Well, the little kid was out front, and he kept going. And it just went, it blew, you know,
Yeah.
like that. That was one of them bad deals. And we had a death there. Then we had a, not long that year, it wasn't a very good year that year for us. At a mink farm out there, had a shed on fire. And burned it all down, and just happened to have the State Fire Marshal school in town. They come out, they were putting this out, we're hauling water, trying to save this stuff. And the guy said, and you won't find out what caused that. So they left. Well, after we got down there looking through the whole thing, and I'd gone through a lot of fire training on arson and crap. In fact, two of the guys that were there I'd had classes with. Well, I'd seen this propane in this room where all the help have their lunch. The propane thing was over there. So when we got all done, I went over there and picked the tank up, and the regulator was on it yet, and the tank was open, wide open, but empty. And the hose was, you know, gone. Well, then we found the hose and the nozzle on the other side. I got this guy and I said, want to tell me what happened on the L tank? Damn thing. Stove wasn't very good. I got mad, so I picked it up and threw it. Well, he broke the hose and bang, guess what? No mink farm left.
Yeah, wow.
But that could have been bad too.
So you've talked about a little bit about lives that were lost in fires, and what process, I mean, that must be a pretty devastating thing to have to go through.
Well, not everybody can do it. You know, yeah. I got used to going in and retrieving these, but a lot of people who join the fire can't do that, you know. But somebody has to do it, just like we had bad auto accidents, bad fires, and somebody has to remove the victims.
Yeah.
And I usually help them with that, because a lot of them couldn't handle that. But it's got to be done, just like we did on drownings. I had guys that dove with me that wouldn't pick up a body. I said, well, what good are you out here if you don't? Well, we find them. What you're doing is that person's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
You're doing a service to the family.
Right.
You're removing it, but that's part of it. Just like ambulance operator deal, you got to be a certain type of person to handle that. And that would bother me, but I would look at it this way: we're doing this for somebody else.
Yeah. How about firemen? Did you have any firemen that were lost in the years that you were serving?
No, we come close. I was one of them when that steeple came down. Mm-hmm. If we'd have been in there 30 seconds longer, the three of us would never got out of there. All that stuff come down. And then this guy that was in this, up by the cemetery, had overcome. He had trouble with that and got to be a bad alcoholic. He wasn't before, but there's nothing you could do with it. See?
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine, but I don't know. We didn't. We had a lot of. You had to have. You knew when you're in your crew, when you're out there, who was able to do it and who couldn't.
Sure.
If they couldn't do it, I told them, walk away. Wait over the truck. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done. Let's see if I got any more. Snappy. First started up, the building is still there. When you go past Foster Cycle, up to Sioux Tracks, that big brick building that's there. Well, it started out just the front part with a small thing in the back. In fact, some of the guys that worked in there out of high school have just retired from Snappy now. And they built onto it, and the back of it was Tri-State Heating. They made all the Snappy fittings up front, and then they distributed and they ship out the back. And I had to be there every day by about 5:15, pick up what they had, what I got, and we had stuff coming in. and that caught fire, and put it out. But they saved. Well, there's where you get a new roof. You know, it was a block building, but everything burned out. But Snappy by that time had another plant down down where the ball field is now, which is something else there now. Then later on they went out and they built an industrial park. That's where they started along the tracks. But we didn't, I can't think of anywhere we lived with anybody. We had 2 deaths in a house. Just as you go down, you know where the bowling alley is? Mm-hmm. Went right past that. When you first come to them houses on the left, there was a little cabin there. We got called to a fire there, and me and another guy went in right away, and there were 2 deaths. One was a young star athlete for Frazee Wrestling, and a girlfriend, and her boyfriend, when they were in the house, well, he dumped gas all over the porch and everything else, so they couldn't get out.
Wow.
So we found them in there and removed them. And that was tragic, because terrible. We had another accident on 59 South, just about by this disposal plant there. A young kid from Detroit Lakes was running a bowling alley in Pelican. And the only thing we can figure out when he came home, it was late, like 2 in the morning, and the dynamic truck was taking a load out. And he said the guy all of a sudden, his pig just came across the road and he set it down, but they hit, and that exploded right away and went into the ditch. And he was burned up in a fire. It did kill him though. He was a young guy. That was a bad one. I had tried to go in and retrieve him out of that pickup, and I lost 2 firemen when that happened, because it was a mess.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to do it, and you got to figure that you respect body, you respect the people. When you got to respect the people that are living, and do it for them, like the drowning victims. You recover this as soon as you can to best of the families.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what else I got to say.
So I mean, you talked a little bit about equipment changing and over the years. How did any other big changes in the fire department?
Well, yeah.
In the years you served?
Like for example, when I was first on the department, I was an assistant that time. We bought our first ladder. We had the old parade truck, the American La France? Mm-hmm. That was a ladder truck. That was 1927. It came in on the railroad from American La France. City bought that. And that was they only made a few of those because it was a pumper ladder truck. And big cities wouldn't buy them because the pumper sits at the hydrant. They needed ladders at the fire.
Right.
So anyway, it had a 55-foot ground ladder. It took 6 big guys to put that ladder up. I mean, it was unreal. But then we first bought, Fergus Falls bought a new aerial truck. And for $1,000, they sold us their 1936 Perch. But it was a 55-foot aerial, but it was wood. The ladder was all wood, That's the first one we bought. Well, then down the road a ways, they updated. We bought another one from Red Wing. They'd bought a new aerial 100-foot. So we bought this, I think it was a 75 or 80-foot Perch, open cab. It's now in a museum, I think, in Williston. And the guy that bought it was an attorney. He bought it, two trucks from us. And he bought that Perch. It had a big 220 Cummins in it. An open cab, and he drove it all in the wintertime. He drove it all over to Williston. I was out there a while ago. I wanted to go in there, but I couldn't. He's passed away, so I don't know if it's open or not. And then down the road, the last one I was there, we bought trying to think what year it was. We bought an aerial ladder from South St. Paul, and that's before I retired. And then that's when we sold the Perch. And this had a new aerial on it because the guy from St. Paul had been killed on it. The ladder collapsed. They had a brand new ladder on it. So we had it. Well, then that's the aerial ladder, the truck they had when I left there.
Sure.
Now they've gone beyond that. And fire equipment's got changed, so it's gotten to be a show thing. I mean, and the amount they pay now for a fire truck is ridiculous. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Nothing to spend $500,000 for a pumper. $500,000, you could buy a whole fleet years ago.
Well, I think we can say that in many areas of our world now.
Yeah. Look at cars. My first car I bought was $15.
Yeah.
I bought a Model T coupe from Art Olson Junkyard. Drove it to school 2 years.
Yeah.
Sold it for $125. Thought I had a good deal.
That was a good deal if you got 2 years out of it and $110
Back when I was in high school,
profit.
you could buy all the Model A's you wanted for $50.
Crazy. So firefighters.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the fire hall. Take a think about this now. When I joined and stuff, we had our fire hall. Originally was the entire city hall.
Yep.
Downstairs was apartments. That's right, kitty corner from the parking lot, or where the mall is.
Yeah.
Kitty corner, that building that sits there now.
Yeah.
Office buildings. Well, just think that we had in that building, we had the back used to be a jail. Now they had stairway going up for years. Now all the stuff now you can see where they boarded it in. Mm-hmm. See, the upstairs used to be the council meeting, city hall. Well, then when they went down over the other place, then it got to be for the fire hall. Well, we tore the jail out because when we got there, when we backed the American La France in, we had to back it. They had a stairway going upstairs, and by tearing out the jail, which only had room for 2 people, we were able to put planking in and back it in around, get it back, and the ladders would just go over the floor of the jail, and it would just go in there far enough so we could get it underneath that stairway. And then straight ahead, we had a 48 Chevrolet that was the first truck out, and then there was a tanker behind that, and then on the right side there was that new 61 Ford.
Yeah.
That went in there, and behind that we had the old 36 truck. See, all of them were in that station.
It's like a game of Tetris. Everything had to be in just perfect.
And then the fire chief at that time lived in the basement, the apartment down there. That was Frank Palm. But he was retired, I think, from the railroad, and he was fire chief quite a while. But things have changed from that time until now,
Yeah. Yeah.
You tell people about it, well, it's changed too, all over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I was going to ask you is that firefighters seem to be, from an outsider looking in, a pretty tight-knit group, and you get put in some pretty stressful situations. Yeah. What would you say to somebody today wanting to go into that area?
I'd encourage them. I'd talk to them and find out. But it takes, to be a good fireman takes a certain type of person. Not everybody can be a fireman.
Yeah.
Because there's things you get involved in that you're not able to handle. And you got to be dedicated to it. And, well, like you look at that picture there now, I was very close to all those guys as a fireman. But we didn't, we get together for picnics and stuff like that, but we weren't, some of them we knew real well, some of them we didn't.
Yeah, you didn't socialize a lot. Yeah, had a job to do.
But it always, like that group was always pretty close to it, got along. And they had to respect the rank, as it went.
Yeah.
Order, and do your part. And the biggest thing is if we had a few people that didn't make it, we had to move them on. because when time comes, you've got to be able to do, and you've got to be wanting to go to schools and the training. And I went to many schools.
Yeah.
The years I was there. And when you get into the chiefs end of it, you got a lot of the stuff you got to do too that people don't realize.
Sure. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit of Detroit Lakes firefighting history with us. I always enjoy.
That was back when I was retired. Like I see now, like the trucks and stuff like that now. I mean, the guys wouldn't even fight a fire with the trucks we had.
Yeah.
You know? And when the big one, they made a parade truck, like the American LaFrance pumper. Hardy Schooler there was a guy, old guy on before. From the time they bought it, and Hardy Schooler ran he was captain of the pump. When I got involved, then I was on that truck, and I was a pump operator for the last fire that was at. You know, before they retired it.
Yep.
And that's, the thing about it, I was a pump operator on American LaFrance. They look at that and say, well, how old are you? It came out as a 750 midship pump, and the old guys bragging about how much water it pumped because they got that great big engine and all that stuff. But when they had it, you have to certify. When they last certified that truck, it was supposed to be 750 gallons a minute. It barely made 600 gallons a minute.
Yeah, time for it to retire.
Yeah, now another thing about nowadays, and they tell people, like rural, you take your trucks out and help, but don't hook up to a lake or a river.
Yeah.
Because if you hook up and pump out a lake or river or something like that, then they can make you recertify that truck.
Okay.
Because if you take debris in there on these brass pumps and stuff, it can knock down what it is. And that's for the insurance reason. And fire it is too. I mean, you could pump and they say, well, there's nothing wrong with that pump. True. But they have to be certified by the insurance.
Sure.
So you got to be careful. So and the equipment is expensive, but the one thing I like about how they push, in last schools we went to, they pushed hard on physical fitness and be careful and don't try to be a hero and all that stuff. You do things.
Right.
You do things in a group. You go into a fire with a team. You got two guys on the hose. You got one or two backups.
Yeah.
And usually a captain or something in charge, because when you get into like we used to go on a house fire before we had masks, and you had to crawl on the floor, feel your way around. Once the fires are going pretty good, you can see where you're going.
Right. Once some of the smoke.
They start crawling through there and start running into victims and stuff, that can get kind of... So it takes a certain time.
Right. Right.
You got to be, not everybody can be a fireman.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a fireman. And I shouldn't say that, because firefighters, I know the first woman they put on the fire that I had, it didn't pan out. But now there are a lot of good female firefighters. That's
Sure.
why we call them firefighters now. We used to call them firemen. I still guess they call them firemen, but we didn't have any ladies on there. But they've got good women on there now too.
Yeah.
And they worked into the ambulance and the rescue part, real good. But
Of course.
it takes, if you're going to do it, and think about it. If you're going to be dedicated, wind up being a pump operator or a pump operator or a guy going into the fire, you got to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And nowadays with all the stuff they've got, the chemicals and the crap and the stuff, boy, when you go in, I'm going to tell you, I was a smoke eater for about 10 years, never wore a mask, but we didn't have any. But you got somebody stuck on a fire, you got to go in there.
Yeah.
And I've got COPT now, but that's passed.
Well, thank you, Arville. We'll have you back again. We always enjoy talking with you.
All right.